is I just want to go over the fingerprint assignment with you. Now, there is no associated rubric for this assignment. However, you do have an instruction sheet that's provided on Quarkus for you. Now, just go over the assignment. So you're going to be graded on your ability to demonstrate your competency using lifting techniques, powdering techniques, as well as on a variety of different surfaces using the different powders and lifting techniques. You're also going to be graded on neatness and accuracy, completeness for the information that's on there, cleanliness, because you don't want to be you want to maintain a clean working environment, because there's going to be other people that are going to be looking at these fingerprints down the road as well. So just kind of review here what we have. So you're going to be lifting, developing and lifting fingerprints from a variety of surfaces using both granular powder, magnetic powder, fiberglass brush, magnetic one. You're going to be graded on the process itself, so making sure that there's proper scale, the scale location, the identifiers that are associated with it, either with the China marker or it should be a China marker, at least encircling the impression, but also writing that information out. It has to be legible on the completed lift. So the impressions that are going to be lifted and preserved are going to be put obviously on a backing card. So we have a demonstration here of a print that has been properly lifted, and as you see it says example on the side here, but please identify each of the different components of the assignment by writing smooth, curved, or whatever, as we'll go through that in a second, and which type of powder that was used. Put this information on the card, clearly recognizable and clearly visible for the TA for grading purposes. Now, just to review on the back side, now this, obviously disregard this tape, we can't take it off because it's going to tear the paper if we do. So just to ignore that, but you can see the diagram here of the impression as it's recorded. So this was on a jar. You can see the orientation of and location of the fingerprints on that surface. This one's filled out with an R number, in this case R4, with the date and time that it was lifted at, the location it was lifted, and a description here of what the surface was that they were lifted off of. In this case, a clear mason jar, and what size the jar was, and who lifted the prints is referenced at the bottom with 4 numbers of the student ID card, in this case their initials as well. So incorporated into this, we have different surfaces to grade your competency on different types of surfaces. So we'll go through this here. So fingerprints are to be lifted from the following selection of surfaces. Each surface should be processed twice using 2 different powders, magnetic and granular. So you have to go through the list of surfaces and powders, or surfaces twice using a variety of different powders, alternating either using both magnetic and granular powders. So the 4 surfaces that we have, smooth, and I just have examples here. If you have a question regarding the surface that you have, you'll have to discuss that with one of the instructional staff to ensure that it meets the criteria. But common sense will predict whether or not it's going to fall into these categories. So in this case here, we have a smooth, flat surface. There's some examples there that are included on the sheet as well. CD cases, plates, ceramic tiles, or a piece of glass, window glass. The next one here is a smooth surface, but it is on a curved smooth surface. So a bottle would be a good example of that. Alcohol bottles, pop cans, cups. The next one is a textured flat surface. So in this case here, this small tray, it's a flat surface, but it has an embossing on there that gives it a certain texture. And the last one is a textured curved surface. Now, when we say textured curved, we're talking about the embossed area here where this raised pattern is on. Just because it has areas that are flat and smooth, but it has the texture on another location, it isn't satisfactory to use this area here that's flat. It has to be removed from the actual texture or whatever class that the instruction says. Now the reason why we have the different textured surfaces and the different curvatures versus flat is to illustrate your competency under these different conditions, which are pretty common with different types of textures. You will notice that when you're developing and lifting fingerprints off of an embossing or a textured surface, that the quality of the impression is probably going to suffer from that on a flat, smooth surface. So don't expect that you're going to get necessarily all continuous agreement of friction ridges on your lift, because we're trying to find the best quality impression under the certain circumstances that are there. Now, because it is a fairly textured surface, we would expect that the print is going to be broken up with discontinued ridges. Not a problem, as long as it's representative of the surface and all of the other requisite information is on there, including your scale, your with identifiers, and so forth.